Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This week's show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Harley Quinn, Season 4, Episode 3. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, storyline kind of came up maybe faster than I thought it would be. It's not like they're having major issues, but Harley and Ivy are kind of not fully in sync in regards of their schedules and stuff, and having to kind of work around the thing of they want to go to Vegas, but they're going to be staying at a villainous hotel, and what that means in conjunction with Harley, who it does seem like she's avoiding Barbara's calls for whatever reason. We find out later on it's because it's something pretty big that she's kind of avoiding, and she kind of wanted time with Ivy. I think they kind of enjoyed themselves fully, because it's right, we've had our moments, but we've both been so caught up in Ivy's villainy thing and Harley's hero thing, and haven't really had an opportunity to kind of be together. And it's right, this big thing is going to have a major impact on their relationship and them. So I think she just probably wanted to have a fun time to kind of put them in a good space, have fun, kind of get away from everything, the responsibilities and everything for a while. But the problem is going to Vegas, because specifically they were staying at a casino, whatever, called it's one of Lex's places that he owns, and the complicated place of what it puts Harley at, because she sees all this death and destruction, which she was all for before, but now it's kind of ooh, yikes. It's the villainy. It's just oh, here's a drink that's made from the blood of your fourth grade math teachers that you hated, and she just didn't drink it. It's just Harley would all be about it. She'd party it up. I love how someone we saw just casually getting murdered was, I forgot his name. He's come up before, and I'm blanking on it. The dude with the penis cannon. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He ended up getting stabbed to death by the Cock King, and it's just wow, you just casually kill him off in the background. To be fair, it's he only popped up. Didn't he only pop up the once at the Villies last season? That might have been the only time he's popped up. Maybe he popped up again and I'm just not remembering. But I just how you just casually kill him in the background. I do like seeing Ragdoll. My first introduction to that character was the Flash TV show. I never was familiar with that character at all. Also, I wonder, is that more accurate to what the character is? Because obviously it's a TV show, live action TV show, so there's probably limitations on how they could handle Ragdoll's ability. But the fact is, Ragdoll's abilities weren't just bendy, because in the Flash, Ragdoll's more contortionist to a very superhuman level. But I don't know if it's even further, because it looked like Ragdoll could probably contortion their body, but also stretch it out like that. It seemed way more than what I saw in the Flash, so that might be closer to what it is in the comics and stuff. Either way, killed a guy, and when he falls off the pit fight, it's Starro at the bottom waiting, which I'm hey, it's just so interesting when you see certain characters popping up in this, because you're man, it's just the interesting timing, considering you've had your cinematic, or at least live action debut was during on the Suicide Squad. So and getting to see it happen a little bit where someone stepped on one of the little Starro babies. It possessed a woman and had her break a bottle and slit the guy's throat with it. And then I think it went back to immediately jumping off her body and pampering Ivy again. It might not have. That might have just been another Starro baby that just came up to fill in that void of that one's kind of stuck to her permanently. I don't know if we ever found out once they're stuck to you, they just leave you. I don't know if it's they'll probably just leave a corpse behind. You're possessed and there's no saving you. At least, maybe in the comics there's a solution for that. Sure as hell wasn't one for the movies. It's also interesting because obviously in this episode we also lean into Clayface's stardom. The way they also were poking fun of him of oh yeah, he was... Basically, he has a residency, but it's because he basically transforms and plays the hits of other people in the residency, which I'm how are you able to do that? Because they were kind of shitting on him for that, but now he is such a big deal, and they can't get tickets to it. you know, and he shows up and he's like, oh, Harley, Ivy, hey. It's like, are you going to be there at the thing? It's like, oh yeah, we got front row tickets and we're going to be in the 6th and 7th seat and there's going to be room for our purses too. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to be looking for you specifically at those seats. And so like, that's what this is all about. Ivy trying to, because she ignored Clayface so much when he offered her tickets and wanted to talk about like his performances and stuff like that. Because my thought was like, okay, we know he didn't get much fame from the Hard Wayne's Fall because Billy Bob, I brought it up in like the first episode, I think that was the first episode. Billy Bob Thornton got all the accolades for it. None of it really went to Clayface. So I'm like, I don't actually know what you're really famous for other than like potentially these resident shows that you're basically stealing from other artists, like by turning into them and I think singing their song. I'm like, I don't know what else you do. Like, you are the thespian, but I don't know if, like, maybe he puts on shows and stuff like that. I really wasn't, they never, at least I'm the idiot I am, it never clarified what Clayface is actually famous for. But, I mean, I guess it's nice that he's, like, oh, got some fame, because he's always been the wayward thespian that he's always been, and it just never panning out for him, so. But kind of back to it, that Harley can't really just cut loose like she used to. I even love, what was it, Snow Flame or whatever, he was talking like all kinds of shit about Harley being there, and cause like, yeah, she's kind of limited in what she can do, and he's like, oh yeah, the old Harley, like if I talk shit, I would have to suffer her wrath, and then she like knocks him and tries to drown him in the pool, but then immediately pulls him out, and he's like, yeah, the old Harley would have let me drown, just trying to have the last word. It's like, shut up, you douchebag. And Harley's kind of conflicted with all of this. It's like, what can I do? Like, I can't really have any fun here if I'm kind of so worried because my hero instincts are kicking in. I'm like, oh yeah, just feeling a little out of place. Before this, she would have lifted up no issues. But I love that in this episode, she creates a secret identity, Hargret, which I thought was so interesting because I was like, you would never think of Harley having a secret identity because it's Harley. She's just kind of like Joker. She's always just herself. I mean, most villains are like, I mean, except for certain villains that have the whole like secret identity thing going on. But you have Poison Ivy, who's Poison Ivy all the time. Harley's Harley all the time. Joker's Joker all the time. I would assume, I mean, maybe earlier in his career, Scarecrow was just Scarecrow. Like, I mean, Scarecrow is Scarecrow now, but, before he probably was Dr. Crane. Like, I don't know if there's ever stories where he, like, I'm trying to even remember Batman Begins. Did he ever spend a lot of time, like, hiding himself? It depends on the story and stuff like that of, like, where Scarecrow is in his storyline. But you get what I'm saying? It's just, you see it a lot more, obviously, on the hero front, because they need it the most, not really the villains, but it comes up from time to time in villain stories. But I just never would have thought of Harley having to get a secret identity now that she's a hero. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like Hero 101 having a secret identity. And for her, it's like, cool, I can be, because she ended up seeing Bruce is DJing from prison, and it's like, right, well, how can he do that? It's so messed up, and I can't even enjoy myself at this villain thing with my girlfriend. But then, Dr. Quinzel pops up and it's like, yeah, because you don't have a secret identity. And the simplest option would have just been to turn back into Harlan Quinzel for your secret identity, but she created a whole new alter ego, and like she's like, oh, let me come out, and it's like, no, and it's like, oh, don't leave me in the mirror, you like, I think she said, like, don't leave me in the mirror, you skank. It's like, yeah, it would have been easier just to, like, your secret identity, could you be Harleen Quinzel again? But it's like, yeah, I guess that doesn't really work because Harleen Quinzel is kind of all in your head, and bringing her back, I don't know, you would think that would work as your secret identity, but it's like, it's too tied to who you are as Harley, so I guess maybe that's why. But all she did as Hargret was just put on a wig to just kind of be like the villainous Harley that she was at one point in time, just doing her thing, and Ivy was like really enjoying this Hargret. They got to kind of cut loose, and they even banged it out in the elevator. Ivy was like, yo, you've never done what we did in that elevator. So it is that complicated thing of like, I'm so curious by, like, we don't know if Harley's going to continue the Hargret. I think it would be really dope if she did. I mean, to be fair, she's around the Bats, and they haven't really, I mean, at least for Dick, he hasn't really been around. I mean, Nightwing hasn't been around as Dick Grayson. Like, obviously, we've had plenty of experience with, Barbara being Batgirl. I'm so, cause we saw Damian outside of his suit in the first episode of this season, but how much are they just being themselves, like, whether rolling with their secret identities? I think maybe I'd like that to be a thing that we continue. I don't know if it will be. I think it'd be so fun to kind of continue that throughout the season or not, especially if she's going to be kicking it with the Bat family more. But I love, what was it, Snowflame, like, trapped him in the room, and it's like, okay, tell us the truth about your tickets. He's like, I'm not lying. And then Harley slaps him and smells some of the coke coming off him. It's like, no, he's definitely lying. He's like, no, I promise you I'm not. I was going to dress up as like a bellhop, and there's someone that's going to come with their tickets, and I just wanted to, try and get it from them, so... And it's the most effed up thing when it's like, hey, here's this kid who seems to be sick, who has the tickets with his parents, and Harley's having reservations about stealing the tickets from the kid. It's like, oh, maybe we'll steal it from his parents, and then we'll bring the kid along. It's like, Ivy's like, no, I promise that we have extra seat for our purses, which is like, oh, like, why would you, like, I get it. But it's like, it's such a small, petty thing, but it's because Ivy wants to prove a point that it's like, right, I could get tickets. I don't want to come begging and groveling to you because it's embarrassing and I don't need to, which is so shitty when this was once your teammate and friend. And, once again, just kind of see how sadly the group is kind of falling apart like that. It's just kind of depressing. But then it's revealed that the kid in the wheelchair was actually, Clayface, that he was even Ramona, their, the person that brought them in and tried to, the concierge or whatever. And I was like, man, Clayface, you're kind of, it's like, that's kind of messed up. I even love the parents like, wait, where's our son then? And we never got an answer to that. It's like, where the hell is he then, Clayface? And him and Ivy duke it out just because, like, they're so stubborn and neither one wants to, like, give away. It's like, right, okay, you're sick that you're going this far just to prove that we don't have any tickets, Clayface. And he's like, yes, you could have answered any of my texts or emails at any point in time. This is kind of on you. And they duke it out. And I love that, that Clayface, which is kind of like, I think it's playing into that trope a little bit of, oh, once a hero's in their secret identity, even though the only thing Harley's wearing differently is a wig, and Clayface couldn't tell, it's like, oh, who's this stranger that you're with, Ivy? And even later on, like, oh, Harley, you should know that Ivy was cheating on you with this, Vegas 6, and she's like, Hargrit is a Gotham 8, But I love that, because obviously it's like the Clark Kent thing of, well, I've had this conversation multiple times, so I'm not going to reiterate it here, but like the whole, oh, Clark Kent wears glasses and how that is able to work as a disguise, and all Harley did was put on a pink wig, so I thought that was kind of neat. Like, they were kind of playing into that a little bit, but it could also just because it's like, what, which is ironic on multiple levels, considering like, hey, Clayface is the thespian who's always disguising himself as other people. You'd think out of anyone, he'd be able to see through a disguise better than anyone, but also it's just, it probably comes down to, hey, Clayface is an idiot, so that's all you need for that. So I just love them duking it out, like, over something so small and so stupid. It's like, is this even really worth it? And they're both like, yes, it is. So Harley had to kind of go into like Harley mode to like save the day because there were so many innocent people being caught up in all of this. And, because I even love someone's like, hey, oh my God, they're doing all this. Can someone call a hero? And so Harley stepped up, had to calm down Ivy, and was able to deal with Clayface by telling him like, oh, the way you're acting right now is giving you wrinkles. So kind of playing into his vanity. So... And I also love how that ties in with like the B plot, which is King Shark and his wife and their 8 babies, and like it's kind of sad how much she treats him like shit. It's like, oh yeah, she definitely kind of doesn't like you. And I love the whole thing of like, you're smoking. Should you really be smoking when you're pregnant? It's like, shut up. Like, don't a human explain to me about a shark's anatomy. I even love King Shark being like, yeah, don't like explain to her. Like, go read a book about like shark's anatomy and how we give birth and stuff. But he's trying to do everything he can please her. He has to make her a gumbo that need a lot of ingredients. He needed, what was it? It was some kind of, he needed, was it like a whale or something? I think it was a rhino's penis, I think. He had to get that, but like, picking up used condoms out of the pool. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, right, you think shit in a pool is bad, or a floating hot dog, me pulling from personal experience because I almost drowned in a pool when I was in elementary school and threw up a hot dog and they had to shut down the pool until they were able to clean it out because of me. Yay, memories. So other than that, yeah, does that happen often? It's like, that's disgusting. And I even love is a strong word to say there, but it's so disgusting that one of the first condoms he pulls up, you see a stray pubic hair flying. I was like, dude. That's even rougher for like a shark, because it's not like you're wearing like any swim gear or anything like that. It's like, nah, bro, you're deep in that pool and you're breathing in the water with your gills. It's like, that's rough. And he had to get the different ingredients, had to get like he had to get ink. So he dressed up like a squid or an octopus, kissed one, and sprayed its ink, and he had to spit it out. It's like, no, the analogy, not the double entendre they were going with there. And the final ingredient had to be like a mermaid's tail. He's like, I'm so sorry about this. It'll grow back, right? I was like, do mermaids' tails grow back? I would assume not. You would assume he would actually know that as someone that's kind of in the sea life type of thing. I also love that her, God, what's his wife's name? Is it like Tabitha? Like her thing was like, oh, she wanted like basically fuck a magician. I was like, where's that? I guess it's just like, right, shark urges or whatever. And I love that there's this terrible magician being like, yo, is this your card? Is this your card? And the gumbo made her give birth, and he's there as well as some kind of shark. Oh my God, I'm blanking on a term for. It's almost like midwives, but there's another. Was it doula? Yeah, I think it was like shark doulas had to be in there as well, and the babies eventually pop out, and I love the last one comes out. It's like, oh, it's not breathing, and then it shoots out the card, and then the magician grabs it. He's like, "Is this your card?" And it's like, and she's crying like, "Yes, that's my card." And it's just everyone, the few people in the crowd cheer for him. I was like, that's so weird and crazy and wild. And then Clayface shows up, and he's like, oh yeah, like, because of the youngins, everyone gets tickets. And then he's like, hi, and he turns to Ivy and Harley, and he's like, oh, and fuck you. It's like, oh, it's so sad that there's so much animosity there. It's like, yeah, the Warrant's former compatriots are now kind of at each other's throats like that. I mean, they're in good enough standing with King Shark. I mean, he's obviously with like the Legion of Doom. I completely forgot to talk about that last episode, I think, of like him being there because like the whole baby shower and everything. But I think like he got probably brought in because of Ivy. So he's kind of at the big boys table now. So ironic that that's what they aimed for. And like, right, they're there without Harley when it's all said and done. So interesting to see how far that group has gone, how far they've come, but also like sadly how like I said, I brought it up before, like they were pretty scattered last season and they're even more scattered this season. So we'll probably see King Shark every once in a while, but we probably won't see Clayface as much. Obviously, we're not going to see Psycho at all. We only got Psycho for like 1 or 2 episodes last season, if I remember correctly. Probably might not even get him at all this season. We'll see. His wife also, King Shark's wife, ends up leaving the other 8 babies. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna take the first one, but it's like, right, you took care of me, so you'll probably be pretty good at this dad thing. So it's like, hey, her giving him a compliment, even after. It's like, that's such a weird and toxic and fucked up relationship, but okay. And also, the doulas are supposed to be the godparents in their culture, but it's like, nah, who cares about tradition? And he made Harley and Ivy the godparents, which I thought was really beautiful and cute. What's interesting too is that the thing is that Harley and Ivy were worried about, like, because they're so different people now that they don't really connect. Like, it's like, right, we could at least connect over the villain stuff, but it's like, what can we connect on when I'm a villain and you're a hero? Well, the thing they can connect on is like talking mad shit about how ugly King Shark's babies are. So because Ivy was saying that that's the main reason why she cared about the whole Clayface thing. It's like, oh, I wanted us to have a thing to shit on, and that would have been Clayface. That's the only reason why the tickets matter. I wanted to go to the shows so we could basically shit on everything Clayface is doing. It's like, I guess that's kind of like their friendship way of showing love in a very twisted way. I don't know if Clayface will see it that way. I don't even know if they would necessarily see it that way, but we ended up finding out what Harley's big thing is, and that is, going forward, she's going to move out and she's going to start living with the Bat fam because she wants to be able to, it's like she's trying so hard to fit this hero life in with her old life, and it's like she can't do that. It doesn't mesh well, and this has been a great example of that. So she wants to stay as long as she can with the Bat family so that it becomes second nature, those hero instincts, that kind of hero feeling vibe. So she doesn't have to stay with them just to kind of be in that mode, that she just wants to be able to click into it when need be. So, I mean, it's already there to some extent. We saw that, like, the uncomfortability of her being in this villainous environment with all of that said and done. But, like I said, there was some bumpy roads for this, but it's not as worrisome as I was worried about it turning out. To be fair, it's like, once again, they're really bumpy as roads were last season, but it's like, yeah, like, their relationship has kind of gotten another wrench thrown in it with, like, their new dynamics, their new jobs, their new careers, and, so it was a little bumpy this episode, but they handled it in a very, like, obviously mature way, but they also had their very immature manner of things, but that was also just, like, Ivy handling things her way and in a villainous way, in a very, very petty way when it came to this whole Clayface situation. But I don't know, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this all plays out going forward. Obviously, King Shark, how he handles daddy duties, what that kind of means for Harley and Ivy as godparents. Probably won't have that come up too much, especially if Ivy's staying with the Bat fam, but maybe something could come up on that front. The show is the way it is, where it's like, okay, there's overarching stories, but also everything's so random. So, once again, having not seen the trailer, and I'm not going to, I don't want to know what was in the trailer. I'm just talking like, just in the grand scheme of things, but I have no idea what to expect from this season. Like, like I say, I could pull some of these threads of like, okay, these could be overarching things, but what wacky situation and circumstances they'll find themselves in, I have no idea what to expect from the rest of this season. So, I'm excited to see ultimately where everything ends up taking us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good